What are humans' natural foods? You see, a natural food is by definition a whole food that is naturally occurring in nature, meaning it's totally unprocessed. At the most, it will have some natural occurring fermentation that was not purposely created so. And it is most definitely uncooked. So you might think, would humans naturally collect raw plants or raw seeds to eat? In a starvation condition, probably. Or we know popularly as an addictiveness. People feel like eating bread, even though they might know it's not so healthy. People might feel like eating legumes like peanuts because they are addicted so, but naturally we would never crave or start eating them in the first place. It's like tobacco. The first time you give a puff, you don't enjoy it, but if you force it, then you start liking it because the addictiveness starts building up. Just as a curiosity, something such as a broccoli is not naturally occurring in nature. Things such as potato, tomato, eggplant, physalis, goji berries, bell peppers, all other sort of peppers have naturally occurring nicotine such as the tobacco plant because they're all from the same plant, some family of plants. So we most definitely naturally would not go for any of those. No nuts, no grains, no legumes, no flowers like the broccolis, no roots, no tubers. Only in starvation would we do so, and we do so now because we are convinced it's good for us, or because we are addicted, in the case of something like a peanut, which is a legume. But no human, even with all of this addictiveness and theories and whatnot that we are convinced of, I have never seen anybody go for raw broccoli. Maybe some raw carrots, but then again, carrots are not naturally occurring in nature as we have them in the supermarket. So the debate is clear. It's not natural human food, both plants and seeds. But let's check another thing. Fruits. Yes, seasonally, fruits occur in fruit trees. And we naturally collect them. We naturally enjoy them. They are pleasant to us. Some people have a more tendency to eat certain types of fruits, others have a more tendency to eat others, but generally the sweet taste of fruits is pleasant to us. And please note that most fruits that we have nowadays are not natural in the sense that they do not naturally occur in nature. An apple is the size of a berry. We gradually created it to be big and to be extremely sweet, which it wasn't. A kaki, the persimmon fruit, is naturally like this. So, yes, it's a natural food that we collect, but most of the ones that we have access to today are not even natural. And secondly, they would only occur seasonally, meaning mostly after summer, but some others around the year as well. Even something such as lemons, we would naturally not consume them. Now we do because we increase the sweetness of them. And because the acidity after a while becomes addictive. Then again, a kid would never want some lemon, but if you give it and give it and give it, then it becomes addicted to. So let's check honey and eggs. Honey and eggs are only found on the wild in nature. Occasionally, you might stumble upon a tree with a honeycomb. you might stumble upon some eggs. So you don't have access to them on a daily basis. It might be year around, but once in a while. Here it might be just like once a year mostly. So yeah, we naturally collect them. You just check something like a grizzly bear, they naturally collect eggs and honey and fruits. They do go for this, not for pleasure reasons, but for starvation. They do go for berries, but when it comes to tubers, it's not because they like them. They are nothing like sweet potatoes, the ones that we have. The real tubers are not tasty. Just like horses will eat a little baby chicken if they are missing some nutrients, but it's not natural to do so. They are starving. They have a mineral deficiency. So we know raw plants is not our natural food. We not crave it and collect it just like a horse or a cow. Seeds as well. We are not birds. We do not naturally seek seeds. We do naturally collect and eat fruits and honey and eggs when they are naturally available. What about milk? You see, cheeses, butter, cream, ice cream, all of these are artificial products because they are processed. And actually, most dairy products we have access to are actually cooked. They are pasteurized, they were boiled, meaning most of the nutrition was actually drawn to the trash. So the only real nutrition in milk is in raw milk and the actual enzymes to properly break it down, and milk is made so naturally for the baby cow, the baby goat, the baby sheep or whatever, and it's natural to consume it warm but at body temperature, so it's completely unnatural to collect. No carnivore out there is collecting milk from any other sort of animal. This is a baby's food. If your wife is not lactating because you're not doing a natural diet, you might give your child some goat's milk, and it's a good substitute, far better than any plant or seed based milks that are now out there. It's baby's food. It's meant for the rapid growth and aging. It's meant to be addictive. It's meant to be extremely appetizing and appetite opening for any sort of baby to grow as quickly as possible into a more stable, more self-sustaining state. So it's not natural for an adult, any sort of adult, to consume milk, let alone other species milk. What about meats? Yes, we frequently naturally collect them. On the wild, you can check any sort of tribe. If they don't have cattle of their own, they will go for a hunt. If they have, they will just slaughter the animal they have around. Some people even go and buy a big piece of land that mimics something like a lion's territory, and they let them roam around. Once they are hungry, they just go and choose one of them, meaning they basically hunt, but within an environment that has been closed off for other type of predators, when they are relieved that nobody is gonna take their territory anytime soon because they bought it. And there we have it. Raw meats, raw eggs, raw honey, raw fruits. This is the natural human diet. Here on a daily, frequently, here only occasionally or seasonally. Plants and seeds is not a natural food for humans, and milk is not as well. But if you enjoy milk or milk products quite a lot, please know that both all the three forms of cream, liquid, butter, or ice cream, all of these three forms are free mostly from casein. So even if you have problems with milk, you might tolerate butter, and it's not terrible to consume it. So, as long as it's raw, because if you don't consume it raw, you get pimples on your face, like I did. Even just consuming butter, not even milk. So, yeah, anything that is natural can not be by definition cooked or even slightly processed unless the natural occurring fermentation that occurs outside by a meat rotting on the sun or whatever other product that might be. This is our main primary source of nutrition since it's the only food that actually nurtures us. All of the other foods in this list are lacking more than 15 micronutrients that are only present in this category. So you might go for any of those others, but please note that none of them will nurture you. Herbivores can get nurtured within this realm because they have characteristics within their digestive system that allows them to break down the fiber. We don't. That's why historically we fermented foods in the kitchen. We mimicked herbivores' inner chambers inside the kitchen. But this was when we were starving, when we didn't have access to the real deal. Nowadays, some people still have to cope with plenty of plant products because they don't have the money to go here. But gradually you should go more and more towards this side. The more you go here, the better your health and consequently your well-being, your happiness will improve. If you go for cooked meats, you cannot expect to feel optimally. It's not a whole food, it's processed, meaning it's not natural. By cooking meats, you already are going to put plenty of micronutrients in the trash, all the water soluble vitamins, and the creatine mostly gets useless, and other compounds that you can only enjoy in the raw form of meat. We are the only animal that cooks, and we cook this side for survival, and we cook this side for safety reasons. We started feeding animals the wrong foods, and thus eggs, milk, and meat started becoming a food hazard. And thus, just by boiling the milk, just by cooking somehow the eggs and the meat, we were able to tolerate them. If you give cheap meat to a natural dog, he will smell it, a raw, commercial, cheap meat. You will smell it and it will not eat it. But if you cook it, then it will eat it. But then if you buy a good piece of meat, raw, and you give it to them, they will eat it raw. So then, first you thought, no, they don't like raw meat. But then you realize, no, they do like raw meat. They just don't feel secure eating that other cheap meat raw, only cooked. Which then again reinforces the idea the historical accounts of humans cooking this tree as not to get food poisoning. These are naturally completely toxic free, except for the egg white, which has anti-nutrients. Either you have to mix the egg with the egg white with the egg yolk, or you should only consume the yolk, which is the actual nutrient part. You are worried about cholesterol, you should be worried about getting too little cholesterol. Historically, people with more cholesterol have lived longer. That's why everybody wants us to stop consuming cholesterol so that we don't live as long. They want us to consume plants and seeds so that we don't live as long. In this planet, we are mere cattle. And just like an episode from Rick and Morty where he has a planet of people within his car battery making his energy, we are here making energy through our emotional expenditure. The more emotional energy we expel, the more energy we produce for someone outside here. They are using our energy, who knows what for, maybe for a car battery. But all we know is that we are being used. We are being used such as cattle. And they want us to feel emotionally bad. That's why they worsen these foods. They tell us not to consume the real deal, the natural foods. They tell us to go after a career. They tell us all of these different ideas that will always lead us to conflict. You see, naturally, humans have a posture. Just like a dog. A dog naturally licks his penis or licks its butt and poops everywhere. And we were gradually told not to do those things. But those were actually not horrible to be told to. But then we were told to believe this and to stop believing that and to stop trusting our instincts, our senses. And now we don't never use our instinctive callings. We only listen to recommendations. And instead of using our brain and saying, wait a minute, natural foods have to be whole foods, meaning they have to be unprocessed, meaning they have to be uncooked. So if horses naturally crave raw plants and maybe seeds, more the birds on this realm, it makes no sense. They naturally go for something. So which foods do we naturally go for? Oh, okay, it's fruits, it's honey, it's eggs, and it's meats. Okay, so all this other nonsense about these studies that are paid for to make sure we produce more electricities through our wrong emotions, just like the Matrix is telling us, and indirectly like Bug's Life is telling us, we are being slaved. And some people will never wake up within their lifetime. Maybe in their next or after lifetime. You are listening to this. Go research. Go see testimonies. Studies mean nothing. They're completely paid for. They're completely criminal in their nature. Out there, the ones who are lying to us, they sometimes leave clues for the ones who are open-eyed. If you go and see, for example, NASA delivered a photo of a black hole that it discovered, and attentive people quickly realized that that photo was from an album of music that was released a while before. So if you're a slave, if you're an NPC, a non-player character in this realm, You will be convinced of things that are completely comedy. You are being gullible. People are telling you these lies that are also simple to clarify that they are lies. When it comes to nutrition, go check testimonies. And don't trust the people's word, trust their faces. I'm a recovering vegan. I consumed not recently non-raw milk. I consumed pasteurized. Look at the effect. I consumed vegan. I lost tremendous health within a year. I went to the gym every single day. I lost tremendous health during that year. So you have to see what people do and what it accounts to. So our elders, our grandfathers used to do all organic honey, organic fruits, organic eggs, organic milks, organic meats. Even when they consumed this, they were all organic. We cannot translate what they did to now. If they consumed whatever is in this list every single day, they weren't filling themselves up with glyphosate, with Roundup spray. We now are. So don't expect, and they had far more natural fruits available. Whatever they consumed, even within fruits, was something naturally occurring. So please just check track record and please filter out what translates to nowadays and what doesn't. Tales such as, oh, Okinawans for Japan are mostly vegan. They consume mostly purple sweet potatoes. Totally wrong. They did so 50 years ago after the war when all of their pig population was decimated. They had to survive. But once they got through an offering their pork population back up, they went back to their natural cuisine. Okinawan cuisine begins and ends with pork. They eat nose to tail pork. They consume plenty of lard. That's how they cook their meats. So please know that that worked for them for longevity because back in the day porks were healthy, they were fed naturally. But you cannot just go eating pork every single day commercially and expect to live to 120 years old because nowadays pork is not pork anymore. It's pork fed by genetically modified corn, genetically modified soy, filled with injections, antibiotics. They eat from pastures that have been sprayed with glyphosate. You cannot translate things. If you somehow found any sort of value in this video, please leave a like. If you want to leave any sort of opinion, even if it's disagree with me, please do so. Free speech, even if I don't like it. And if you want to check more videos about body, around family, or even around home, hit that subscribe button and those will come occasionally. Thanks for watching.